What's up?
What's going on?
You know, man, I'm tired, wired. I'm on my fourth cup of coffee, but feel fucking amazing. Feeling good.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Coffee, huh?
Sure, I'm gonna crash in like, I don't know. Give it 2 hours and we'll see what happens. But I've been drinking a shit ton of coffee and doing a lot of nicotine. So I
Okay.
got my knickknacks right here.
Oh, nice. It's funny. I picked up a pack of Zyn like a week ago,
Yeah. Do you know
and
the
I
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's fine. I'm not addicted yet, but it's it's something.
Just wait, do it, give it, do one or two zins a day, and then in a month you can be fully addicted. And so you can accomplish your goal of
Yeah, I'm
addiction.
trying to do one before like I work out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what's funny is because like if I just do like so knickknacks kind of hit different than Zin. I don't know why. A lot more subtle. But if I'm like doing it while I'm golfing, it's the best combination ever because I'm focused on something and it kind of like hones that energy. Whereas if I'm just like hanging out, reading or whatever, and I do some nicotine, I'm like, oh, I don't really feel so good. So I think
Mm,
like you need a little bit of activity or at least mental action towards something, to get
yeah.
the full benefits. And I mean, listen, I've gone through periods where I've done like more nicotine and less nicotine and no nicotine. For whatever reason, I haven't ever really had a hard time getting off of it. So I don't know. People like react differently to it, and I know people have definitely struggled with it, and it's kind of hilarious that we're on a mass level getting addicted to nicotine again.
I think it's about the testosterone for me.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
good.
what I want, you know? Like you could eat a bunch of, bell peppers. I think they have natural nicotine, but I need, testosterone maxing without the TRT replacement and all that. I don't want to do anything like that. I
Yeah,
just want sun, sleep, nicotine, beef, lifting heavy weights. What else is there? Water
yeah.
with some magnesium. It's like what can I do to just get the most amount of testosterone without having to, you know, go to the doctor, which is a bunch of bullshit. What do they know anyway?
Yo, the way you feel with optimal testosterone versus like low T is night and day. And I feel like I've been through both of those periods where like for probably a year I did pescatarian where I just ate fish
Yes.
and
Yeah.
vegetables and I felt so weak. And I'm like I definitely felt like I nuked my testosterone. Then when I got back eating meat, and this was in my 20s, right? I got back eating meat and it was just like night and day. And I feel like that was all, well, nutrients for one, but the testosterone boost. And yeah, I think part of why we've got such a liberal left-leaning culture, although it's shifting, is because of these like lower T males that have vilified testosterone and this whole toxic masculinity bullshit. And I've gotten to such a point where I don't know, maybe my T is just so high that I'm like, I think we should completely neglect all these people's opinions and va invalidate any perspectives they have because they're dealing with an ailment, really. I mean, they need
Yeah.
help. They've got low T. And
That's a compassionate way to think about it.
I'm
I've
being
heard
as
some
compassionate
people,
as I can because what I was going to say might have gotten me in trouble. So I went the compassionate route.
yeah, like maybe get them all on board sinking cruise ships.
Well, I was going to say maybe put him in a zoo, you can you can feed him little soy pellets.
I mean, they would love that.
Look at, oh, look at that one. It's got blue hair. Oh, wow. Hey, have a little soy pellet.
Oh goodness. I can see the crowds lining up now. I think that's good though. The world needs more testosterone. And I think, typically men, we have been, we come from a point of strength naturally. So if someone's going to yell and cry and complain and say, we're not being nice, I think for the most part, we'll be like, okay, if that's how you feel, go ahead. But I think it's gotten to the point, like you said, where we need to push back now And that is happening. You know, the blue hairs have lost, and they're probably going to continue losing for the foreseeable future. So yeah, I mean, let's embrace the testosterone, be a man, grow
Yeah.
up.
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I have got, at this point, zero tolerance or patience for any of this clown world, far left leaning bullshit at, at all. I'm just, you know, you can call me a fascist, you can call me a Nazi, you can call me whatever you want. I'm not those things. You're just brainwashed. But if you want to call me that, okay, that's fine. I don't value your opinion anyway. So
Right.
who
I
cares?
mean, I agree. It's like when you are when you know what you believe, it doesn't matter the criticism you get because, you know, my beliefs, your beliefs, they're tightly held. So I'm sorry, the arguments aren't going to work.
Yeah.
And you know, go ahead and cry.
Hey, look where this world has gotten us. Look where this left-leaning soy boy clown word bullshit has gotten us to the point where the state is in control of the money. They print the money. And with that money, what they do is like you look at the state of the West right now, they use those funds and they are ethnically cleansing Ireland. They're ethnically cleansing England. So if you're from the global South, they're taking you and they're saying, we'll put you in Ireland, we'll put you in England, we'll pay for you, we'll get you free housing, we'll get you all your meals will be accounted for. Meanwhile, Irish and English are struggling like they've never struggled before because not only is the state and the EU just like printing money and increasing that supply out of thin air and stealing their wealth and inflating the prices of homes, they're using that money to fund the replacement of these, you know, amazing places throughout hundreds of thousands of years have fought and died to
Mhm.
preserve their ethnicity, to preserve their way of life. You know,
Right.
Ireland should be for the Irish. England should be for the English. And I'm at this point where I'm like, just you need to fucking deport them all. Deport everyone else that's come here, which has predominantly happened in the last like 10 years. Okay. If you're not assimilating and if you're bringing your religion and you're demanding that your religion is the predominant religion and you're trying to actually overtake a way of life that has been fought and died for hundreds or thousands of years, then you need to get the fuck out. You need to be deported. And I'm okay if that sounds fascist, but it's only okay if you ethnically cleanse, white nations, but do the Palestinians have a right to defend Gaza and their land, right? Would anyone that's on the left say that, oh no, we should have white people be in Palestine and Christianity should be the predominant religion in Palestine or the Middle East or Africa, right? Oh, let's if white people want to start moving to Africa, and the African government is going to subsidize and pay for that and give white people from Ireland or England or America free homes and pay for their meals and provide this whole social net, people would be up in arms, right? So it's just this absolutely ridiculous double standard, and it's all built on this foundation of easy money and control of the hands of the governments and the global elite. And I'm fucking completely fed up with it, as you can tell.
Yeah, man, that's a good rant. And, you know, it was attempted here in the US too.
Listen to this, all right? I've been reading some, we'll do half a little knickknack. I've been reading a lot of Martyr Made podcast stuff, Daryl Cooper. I
Yeah.
subscribe to his Substack, which is 40, $50 a year. And he's got he's got so much backlash, people saying that he's like a Nazi apologist or is a Holocaust denier or whatever, whatever. I've got thoughts of my own about that. We don't need to talk about it right now, but he's not. Like if you listen to any of his podcasts, he's the most fair, empathetic person on both sides, and all he's trying to do is explain the thought process of each side and tell a good story about that, whether that's from the perspective of Israel and the whole strife, persecution, hardship that the Jewish people went through in Europe, and they needed a place to call their own. And he paints a good picture of that. And on the other hand, he paints the picture of the Palestinian struggle and what they've go through and what their perspective is in preserving their home and their culture. And he's not giving any opinions about anything. He's just talking about firsthand perspectives of these people. So anyway, I mean, I really love his work, and one of the things that I read, he wrote a piece about immigration, and he said that right now, I, I, I'm probably going to misquote this, but ages 18 to 35 in America, white is the minority now.
Yeah.
Whereas in 1990, I think it was like 70% of that population was white. And we're not making any prescriptions about white being good and brown being bad or anything like that. This is just right, like the statistics. And when the baby boomers die off, by the time we get to like 2040, 2050, white will no longer be the majority in the country.
Uh-huh.
And it's absolutely ridiculous because a country has a responsibility to their citizens. And so if you're bringing in non-citizens and you're allowing for illegal immigration, that's treasonous. Okay, you're cleansing an entire population of people and a way of life. And you could talk about how America is different because it is, because there was all the immigrants that built this country, which is true from Ireland, England, the Dutch, whatever. We were at a stage in our country where we needed people to conquer the West, essentially. We needed them to go develop. We needed them to move, uh, you know, to the Midwest, to California, and build things out. But that is no longer the case, right? This is a completely different time. And the way that they went about doing that historically was different than it is now, right?
Mhm.
They didn't pay to those people to make that happen. You incentivized it, right? But it's absolutely absurd. And I'm like, right now, very passionate about this because if we don't take drastic action, even that those numbers in terms of those timelines that I threw out there, that's if we completely block any more immigration whatsoever.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's going to happen regardless, unless you start doing mass deportations,
Yeah.
regardless of if the person's a criminal or not. Which, by the way, if you and I'm not speaking about legal immigration, I'm speaking about illegal. By the way, if you I just lost my train of thought, but
You're
ah,
saying by 2050, the
okay. Yeah, I got it back. I got it
dominant.
back. So yeah, if you take these extreme actions of mass deportation, that's just not politically popular. It's going to be looked at as so draconian that we're not even in a situation where a Trump would do that, right? The best we can get is the threat of if you come here illegally, then you're going to get in trouble. So we have lower border crossings, but they're still happening. That doesn't account for what's actually coming down the pike. So I don't know. It's concerning thing for me. Anytime you have cultural clash, whether it's for white people going to predominantly Asian or African countries or vice versa, there's always going to be issues. Okay, so it's not about race per se. It's about the rights of the citizens of that country already. And we have not, it's an understatement to say we have not done a good job, right? It's criminal, I think.
Yeah. I think the reversal of the trend is, like you said, deportations, limit the amount of people that can come into the country, people who are qualified, who have skills that can make the country better. If you
Yeah.
wanted to emigrate to another country, that's what they require you to do, even as an American. If you've tried to get into Australia as a citizen or as a whatever, it's not easy. It's difficult. So I think having standards for who you allow into your country is important, but it's also fixing the money so that people who do live here feel like I can have a kid. I can have two kids or three or four. the money is broken, which makes being a parent nearly impossible.
Yeah.
I think if those, it's a multiple set of factors that need to be changed. I think on some level, I feel like there's hope that we are deporting people. The app that people used to come in and request services is now been flipped so that when they download that app, they can self-deport.
Yeah.
There's, which is great. What Doge has uncovered is how much of our taxpayer dollars were used against us,
Yes.
which is, um, you know, completely immoral and hopefully will be punished. But I think that all of the factors that have gotten us to this point, I believe they're starting to recede. Now, it won't be fixed overnight, but if we can continue to kind of pound the drum, fix the money, fix the incentive structure, I think that we'll be in a better place. In terms of whether or not, the Anglo-Saxon European white will be the majority, I have no idea. I haven't really thought about that too much. I mean, I think I don't know if I have an opinion on whether that's good or not. But yes, we were a nation of immigrants. The difference is people, in my opinion, were willing to assimilate during the construction of our country. And today, the people who come in from different places around the world, they aren't interested in being an American. They're not picking a sports team. They're not joining the community center. They're not always playing on the local, sports teams. They're not saying, yes, I'm an American. They're saying, I'm from Somalia and I'm going to stay with my Somalian group here
Yeah.
in Minnesota, or I'm from Iraq and I live in Michigan and I'm going to only do the things that I would have done in Baghdad before I was forced to leave.
Hmm.
And it gets complicated. I don't think that an individual like a president is going to flip a switch, but I do think the culture not being okay with it over time will be what causes things to be the way they should be. And by that, I mean prosper. You could criticize America for, starting multiple wars and deposing presidents and kings and causing upheaval as we protected our interests. Um, and a lot of those consequences we're dealing with today are because we had easy money,
Yes.
because we could fund these huge government NGOs and government entities and wreak havoc throughout the world. So, on some level, I understand how we got to where we are. And like you, I think it's a problem that needs to be fixed. But I also think we need to take a long-term view. And the money to me is like at the root of it. If we can keep the government from stealing our money through theft, through inflation, through taxation, and if we could one day be on a Bitcoin standard, it gets a lot harder to create the consequences that we're dealing with today.
Absolutely, brother. I mean, I feel like watching all this go down, being a pretty good portion Scots Irish, I feel like I've got these blood memories that are just boiling up. And
Those are called potatoes.
yeah, yeah. But it's like it's a cause I feel like that my ancestors have died for. And
Yeah.
I see these things happening. I see just the utter inequity of the state being able to print money and to ruin people's lives as an extinction level threat. Because if you don't
Yeah.
have any power, right? Like as Mahler says, why should any man work for something that another man can print? And our crusade is is Bitcoin because it's while it's not like a silver bullet, it fixes the money, fix the world. It does fix a lot of things if you separate money and state. And if there was one message that I had that could provide some level of an antidote to all this is to separate the state from money. It's just it seems like the easiest way of going about dealing with a myriad of problems, maybe not to the full extent, but it certainly makes these transgressions a lot harder to do.
I agree.
And it's like my
I
life's mission.
yeah,
I feel like it's your life mission as well, right? To
it
like
is.
provide for our
Yeah.
families, to save our families from this financial ruin. that will come, in the future progressively, but also on a global scale, right? Like abstracting it out to that level. I just feel like it's the most important area of focus that we can dedicate our lives to. And I mean, I
Yeah.
really, truly do hope that in the future, Bitcoin will do its thing, and then Bitcoiners will be in a position to fix these things because we'll hold the political power, and then we can get involved in our local communities and make a change because now we've got the money, right? We've got the we've got the power. So I just
Yeah, I wonder what do politics look like on a Bitcoin standard around the world? And I would argue that Bitcoin obsoletes politicians.
Mhm.
Politicians exist because they can extract wealth from their community, their city, their state, their country, and then they decide how to use that money. That is politics. How do we use the money that we've stolen from the people? Bitcoin makes it nearly impossible to steal money other than force or just being, willing to send someone a transaction. But there are no politics, in my opinion, on a Bitcoin standard. I see it as people pursuing their passions, self-interest is the number one motivator. And I also, if we want to get a little nutty, I could see the eliminating of borders of countries. Of yes, you still have culture, but what we know as being belonging to a particular country, I think goes away. So there are probably a lot of Americans who don't like hearing that, but your question about why work for what another man can print, my question is what gives one man the right to rule another? And I don't see truly a need for an organized government other than to protect your national borders. But if the borders go away, what does the government do that the private sector, that people in a community cannot? So I kind of imagine a futuristic world that has high tech, that has all of the trappings of a highly intelligent, highly sophisticated society without the bureaucracy, without the theft, without the control aspect. And perhaps that would never occur, but um, for me, Bitcoin gets us closer to that. And what I like most is that it is real. And just by buying some of it, you are being part of it. Contrast that with, say, a climate protester who destroys a piece of artwork or lays down on a city street because they're, getting paid to protest climate. That really does nothing helpful for anyone. Buying Bitcoin removes value from the state's ability to generate value. The more that we put into Bitcoin, the less value that exists in the old system. So I'm kind of imagining something that is a blend of ancient and future
Yeah.
in driven by incentives, driven by communities.
Mm. To that point, let's take a look at a video that you shared earlier, which is very relevant to our conversation right now.
Oh yeah.
Ursula van der Leyen, Satan herself, president of the EU Commission, traitor, says Europe has all it needs to take the lead in the competitiveness race. This month, the EU Commission, aka the New World Order, will unveil the Savings and Investments Union. We'll turn private savings into much needed investment and will work with our institutional partners to get it off the ground. Let's listen to this.
How are you? Good to see you.
Fucking traitors.
Dude, they just want to take 10 trillion of cash from their citizens. 10 trillion dollars. Good luck. I mean, it doesn't get more evil than that, you know? I mean, if you've managed to save some money and then the government, the unionized government is going to go into your bank and keep you from accessing the money that you've saved in order to pay for a war or whatever climate, whatever their investment is. But my thought is it's probably war with Russia. Um, I mean, goodness. these people cannot be helped.
So the thing about this too is that there's really, well, maybe slight difference, but if we want to be binary about it, there's no difference between tapping into people's savings and printing money. The difference is that actively tapping into people's savings is a lot more blatant and more out in the open than what they do, traditionally. It's a signal that they're in trouble, that they know the easiest way of going about it is just doing what they're doing. But they've kind of maybe hit the end of that where I don't know, but now they're going to tap into people's savings and it just hurts everybody. It hurts everybody. And I feel like we need a global resistance and uprising to prevent this stuff from happening. And and that can happen on an individual level. All right. Protect your savings, buy Bitcoin, run a node. Okay. That's
That's
it.
it.
That's
That's
it.
it. Yeah.
It's the most peaceful
Yeah.
way of undermining their power that you can do. Buy Bitcoin, run a node. That's it. You don't need to go out into the streets and tar and feather people and, go speak at whatever. Like you can just get your community, get a bunch of people together, learn how to do that, learn how to get financial freedom, and
Yeah.
you'll pull the rug out from under these freaking
Globalists.
totalitarian, like evil
Yeah.
golems.
What's crazy is they're running in the opposite direction. The United States is talking about buying Bitcoin, whether they will or not, we'll see. But the US has definitely learned that through stable coins, we can monetize our debt. We can have the world carry our bags through stable coins and, through a company like Tether, who then buys Bitcoin with the profits from that transaction. And so the EU, instead of mimicking what the US is doing, is digging further down into this just awful anti-human totalitarian idea. I mean, the same thing's happening in Canada, where instead of acquiescing to the United States because we are your daddy, they're running to the left. They're putting a globalist, even Pierre Poilievre, whatever his name is, the conservative, is said things that are very anti-Trump. And you just want to just ask these people, like, what are you thinking? Like, you need to swim with the current. And right now they're going against it. And it's staggering to watch. It's like, watching someone inflict harm on themselves completely needlessly.
Yeah, all right, I hope this doesn't happen, but I feel like this administration, this Trump movement is sort of like the last exit for some type of peaceful resolution where we're doing things by, the books, right? Because Trump is not like, I mean, come on, he's a Democrat. He's left of Clinton, okay?
Right.
He's left of Clinton, but if if they don't get things done, then there's going to be a lot of frustration from the younger generations. There's going to be a lot of hopelessness, and it could easily turn into some type of violent revolution where you stop trying to play this game of Monopoly and you throw the board up and you actually use brute force to fix the things that need fixing, which is the worst case scenario, right? We don't want that. We don't want a strongman dictator type that has been radicalized by this movement to rise up and have people follow him. Like you don't want that kind of Stalin-esque, Hitler-esque type of individual. But history does show that when people are forced up against the wall, they will take drastic measures. So I hope that these global elites, and I don't think they will realize that they need to do some acquiescing here. Okay.
Yeah. I think we're seeing a lot of turmoil, and we're just at the beginning stages. I'm reading about Trump today, making overtures to Greenland. Of course, we know he's trying to get Greenland, Canada, the Panama Canal. He's even putting military options on the table to take the Panama Canal. And he's speaking with Russia in the background and he's speaking with China in the background. And it looks to me like you said the board game analogy, like he's looking at the board, looking to control as much of the world as possible, especially in the Western Hemisphere. He wants the trade routes, he wants the raw earth materials, he wants the people, the land. I mean, and it's so different than what we saw during the Obama years where America was put last, and where we were put behind and we were forced um, to be failures, And of course, we shipped all of our manufacturing overseas. All those things are true. And it is a completely new paradigm. And we don't know quite how the world is going to react yet. Who are our allies? Canada does not appear to be an ally. Mexico does not appear to be an ally. Now, maybe those countries will be through force, but I think what we're seeing is just these nations rising against nations. And I just see the chaos continuing for some time, definitely for the next 4 years.
Nationalism is good.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? I fully believe that. I mean, I believe that. I mean, come on. How have we been so brainwashed that we don't believe in that, like our own nation? And as much as I've been like libertarian and I feel like about free markets and let people do what they want to do, I've kind of come to a point where I'm like, well, yes, but the government has gotten so big that we need to one, eliminate it, get it to a smaller state, and then with actual leaders that understand what's in the best interest for this country, just get shit done for the betterment of our nation. Okay, I'm not concerned about what's happening in Ukraine and the border dispute with Russia and Ukraine. That's in fucking Russia and Ukraine, okay? Like let them hash it out. I'm not concerned about what's happening anywhere in Africa unless it's like Christian persecution, right? But not to the extent that, I like I should even have much of an opinion on that, right? I'm just concerned about America and fixing the problems here. And if that makes me a nationalist, and if I care about Christianity and Christ is king, Jesus is Lord, and that makes me a Christian nationalist, then I guess that's what I am, you know? I
Yeah.
don't, I don't see anything wrong with that, okay? Like it's been vilified as being this really extreme position, but it's like the most traditional moral, like ethics-based thing that you can think of, in my opinion. But tell
Yeah.
me if I'm
No.
wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I'm right there with you. Because I'm a Christian, I don't patriotism, I understand it to a point, but it isn't my idol,
Right.
America is a great place and I live here and my kids live here and I want to see her succeed. I want to see our people succeed.
Right.
Um, but beyond that, I agree with you that we should be focusing on domestic issues. We
Yes.
should we shouldn't be going around the world and manipulating. But we're doing that through our money. I mean, it all comes back to the petrodollar, the dollar priced in oil and oil priced in dollars. And I think we're watching that system crumble. And I'm sure you've read The Fourth Turning and The Sovereign Individual, and
Yep.
we know that we're headed for upheaval. And I think if we're gonna be able to do anything practical in our own lives, it's what value can I provide? How do I sustain myself? How do I save for the future? How do I create a better life in my circle of influence? I can't solve the world's problems, but
Mhm.
I can solve the problems that I have and that
Mhm.
my wife or my kids or family or friends or neighbors have. And so I'm going to put my attention within like a 5 mile radius, and that's what I'll focus on.
That's
Other than that, the world's too big, and that might just be me just saying, taking the easy way out.
I
But
think it's actually the other way around, right? I think that the people that like there's that whole heat map of whether you're right leaning or left leaning, and it's like the left leaning folks care more about this,
everyone else.
everyone else, but that is the biggest cop out because it's a way for you to skirt your own responsibilities. It's a an exit ramp for you to say, like my life's not great. man, I'm not really doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not accomplishing what I think I'm supposed to be accomplishing. I'm not providing the way I should be providing.
Hmm.
My energy into this other thing that I really can't control because at least I could just virtue
Right.
and be passionate about this thing. It's like it's such a cop out. There's no
It is.
accountability in that type of mentality.
Yeah, and that's why you get people to put the Ukraine flag in their bio or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, so
You
easy.
know,
So
it's
easy.
like I feel like I'm doing something. It's like the
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter sign in the front yard. We believe in science. I mean, I maybe you're right. I think that I for me it's like I know what I'm able to control and it's not a lot. And so
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to put my that's where I'm going to put most of my energy. But, going back to the point of all this, a lot of this will self-correct if the money is fixed. And I think Bitcoin is the only money that's going to be fixed. And the other thing is, I feel like we can be hopeful about is, it's going to happen. We are watching, like we're taking for granted the fact that a president of the United States signed a Bitcoin strategic reserve and then
Yep.
separately a digital stockpile of shitcoins. Like those are two separate things. And not only that, the stockpile, they're willing to sell to buy more Bitcoin. Like I was arguing with people 2 years ago before I gave up orange pilling that the government will not take your Bitcoin, and even if they could, they wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
And look how far we've come. You disappeared into the ether.
I don't want to flash you. I don't want to show you my titties as I take my sweatshirt off.
All right, good deal. Yeah, I
I
don't
charge people. Now you go to my OnlyFans, which is Cold Hearts Nut.
I'll think about it. Send me a link. But I mean, I just it's Friday, dude. It's the end of the day. I'm ready to just relax and deal with the tornadoes that are coming through the southeast.
Oh shit, you got
And
tornadoes coming through?
oh yeah, all day tomorrow. And but that's it. Like I I have a small list of goals, and I know that world peace will not exist on the earth by man.
Mhm.
Trump's not going to bring world peace. No leader in the Middle East is going to bring world peace. You're not getting it from China. No
No,
way.
no way.
So it's like, why worry about something that I know will never occur? But what I think could happen is that people use Bitcoin as their unit of account, their medium of exchange, their store of value. And that changes the picture for everyone.
Yes, 100%, man. I mean, we are on the cusp of something incredible, and uh, as easy as it is to be black pilled, which I spend a fair amount of time going down like black pill rabbit holes just to come
Yeah.
out the other end of that rabbit hole white pilled, and being optimistic or orange pilled, whatever it is. And I think that's a really natural or an and healthy way of learning about things because you got to fully feel it. You have to, for me, I've got to fully
Yeah.
feel that revulsion and that fire to use that as energy to come out on the other end and say, no, we've got solutions. Now let's work toward these solutions. We know what the problems are intimately. We feel those problems. Now it's time to take action.
Yeah, it's so easy to be black pilled. Yeah, to be honest, that's how I've felt most of this year, just black pilled, you
Yeah.
know. And there are lots of reasons to be. We didn't get the Epstein list. We didn't
Yes.
get the JFK files. We haven't looked inside Fort Knox.
Yeah.
Like there are many things that were going to happen on day one that haven't happened. And sure, it's only been what, 2 months or something, 3 months, but you kind of wonder, is this ever going to be a priority? And I don't know. I don't know. But
I don't know.
I think what you said is correct. Like you have to feel it. And I know that I've certainly have felt it. I've had my hopes up, and I also have a lot of cynicism and a lot of skepticism. Is the US really going to buy Bitcoin, or are they just going to keep confiscating it? You
Right.
know, I don't know. Um, I have no idea. I think that the US will continue to push stable coins because it will be a CBDC, and it'll force the rest of the world to continue to choke down our debt and buy our US treasuries.
Yeah.
I mean, is anyone going to get angry with us? That's my question. Are they going to get angry with us?
Yes, yes, they
When are they
will.
going to stop putting up with it?
I don't know, but they will. Crazy times to be alive, my friend. If,
Yeah, dude.
but yeah, like we've talked about this before, but is if this is yeah, the defining moments of our generation and the strife that we go through, then I'd much rather have that be something that I'm bearing than the future generation, than my unborn children, you know? And
Yeah.
I know for your kids, and they're older, getting older, right? But like hopefully they can they can live a life in their 20s and 30s and 40s that is drastically better than what we've
Yeah,
been.
they're Bitcoiners. All my kids have Bitcoin and they have more than most people.
It's great.
Not that they have a lot, but
But,
they all got a
that's a
million.
lot
It's
though,
like a
right? Not a lot of people own Bitcoin.
well, it's true. It's like 2 or 3% or even less. But yeah, they've got a million sats, which today is what, 800 and something bucks. But fast forward, they're some of them are teens, a lot of them aren't. Um, but think about 10 years from now, in 2035, one Bitcoin is going to be, in my opinion, around 10 million bucks.
Yeah,
So, a million sats is what is that? 100 grand. Point one would be a million. That'll be a big deal when they're in their early 20s.
absolutely.
And it's not like they're not buying Bitcoin from here till there. They still have 10 years. So I think the future is bright if you're willing to adopt the currency of the future and if you have a long road ahead of you.
Absolutely. That's right, brother. Well, you've sent some other posts. We can go through that as well. But did you see the latest Sam Hyde video by chance?
Let's watch it. I know you're a fan. You turned me on to that guy maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago.
He's a full-on Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see if we can just look a little bit. I love this intro, by the way.
JK, I'm not even gonna read. Oh, no, no. Great ideal, but this outlines the fatal flaw in libertarianism, italicized libertarianism. I can get behind it. Fully reached the tail end of what effect it's going to have in the world. And I think real life is just, you're lucky if you find one rational actor for every. They're just like kicking around. Well, what's proposed in Atlas Shrugged is when people plays, and then there's this there were these offshoots, Zcash, Monero, alternative
This is it.
cryptocurrencies
So I
that
was looking
function.
for.
Very interesting because I've personally known a lot of people who, if they had held on to their bags, would have been absurdly rich. This stuff, and really what they're talking about is like 6 billion Google Gop people starving to death. One of the most drawn out, inhumane forms of death. They're just like kicking around. Well, what's proposed in Atlas Shrugged is when people cooperate and it's peaceful cooperate, like 6 billion. Ah, feed us, feed us. Rational legal weed guy. It's like prim and proper. And then if you ever walk into a weed store, it's Rick and Morty Walmart pajama people. Shouldn't even be driving.
He's gonna get into Bitcoin, I think, right here.
Yeah. As the world becomes more digitized, privacy will be more and more difficult to maintain. The road from then till now on Bitcoin has been very interesting because I've personally known a lot of people who, if they had held on to their bags, would have been absurdly rich. And a lot of them got by that Monero. Is there another? Is it Zcash? Ooh, that's some pain right there. I can think off the top of my head 3 people who would have over 100 million bucks now if they had held onto their bags and they got. A lot of the people who got Bitcoin got everybody got lucky. Everybody early got lucky essentially, but a lot of them they just had it because they were buying drugs or selling drugs on Silk Road. And then a lot of people came into Bitcoin from libertarian economics. They amassed an amount of Bitcoin that would have made them extremely rich nowadays. And then there were these offshoots, Zcash, Monero, alternative cryptocurrencies that function very similarly to Bitcoin. They're not like Ethereum where it's like a smart contract platform or whatever. Bitcoin itself is a smart contract platform, but smart contract in the sense of you can make NFTs and shit on these things. That's not what these things were. They were very similar to Bitcoin, but just with privacy enhancements. And people, a lot of these libertarian guys who were early comers to the game saw that Monero and Zcash were adding more advanced privacy features than the Bitcoin development people had any intention of bringing to Bitcoin. And because these libertarian guys are they're ideological guys, like if they get captured by an idea, they will go all in. There's not much moderation in the libertarian community. I think people tend to fall in love with certain ideas and go all in and get captured by them, which maybe is like a reason why it's like autistic people are just like hobbies in general. So you could say that about any hobby, but
That's how I feel about Bitcoin right now. Like I feel like I'm kind of diving in head first.
you're going obsessive on it.
Define obsessive.
If you were ideological about Bitcoin, the purpose of Bitcoin initially was to create Galt's Gulch. That's not a flattering combination of words to say. That sounds so bad, but Galt's Gulch in cyberspace. And Galt's Gulch, ugh, Tim May is the guy who created this. All these guys were really captured by Ayn Rand and libertarian economics. And this guy, Tim May, envisioned if you could have property and scarcity in cyberspace, you could set up an actual libertarian cyberspace like realm. Point being, anybody who's into this stuff, they're like super committed to it on an ideological level. I think that's a good thing if you get captured by Bitcoin, but the guys that were like obsessed with privacy, they got ensnared by Monero and Zcash, which failed. Privacy is not a winning idea. I'm not saying it shouldn't be a winning idea.
Okay. I mean, the dude's obviously a big Bitcoiner, huh? And I I think a lot of his followers, and I feel like he's growing too, right? They're by proxy going to become more orange pilled. But it's great because he doesn't have a Bitcoin, it's not a Bitcoin show. It's a culture show,
Right.
politics, and it's just but with this Bitcoin talk infused into it. And I think it's great, man.
Yeah, we should talk about Bitcoin more often.
Yeah, I know. We're talking a lot about culture and politics, huh?
I
Let's talk
don't
about,
know much.
do you have any thoughts about that? Or you want to move on to the next thing?
No, it's good, man. No, I like that. Um, yeah, I'll have to watch that whole thing. I bookmarked it,
Yeah,
so I'll
it's
come
good.
back to it.
It's good. Yeah. He recommended a book, which I actually bought. It's Hagakure. It's The Secret Wisdom of the Samurai. So
Okay.
yeah, looking forward to that. Want to walk us through this tweet? This from Hugh Action.
Yeah, so I think this is the takeaway from this tweet. We've got 10 years. You've got 10 years to hit that mining reward. You know, we've got the next until 2028 to get 3.125 Bitcoin. But everyone is going to discover mining. Everyone. It's going to be too valuable to ignore. And the market is going to create technology that is so easy to operate, UX, all of it, UI, it's all going to be so easy that we're going to see everyone that you know, they're going to have either an appliance or a heater or just a mining rig. And what it will do was it will pull the power away from the foundries, the Maras, all the big mining companies today. If you look at the mempool, you know, it's like 4 or 8 companies that win every freaking block reward. But we have seen over the last, I don't know, 6 months, maybe 4 or 5 solo miners. 2 of those have been a bid axe. So my desire right now is to figure out how can I get into home mining? What product can I purchase? I don't care how profitable it will be. I know it'll cost me energy each month, but I want to play the lotto. I want to get as many hashes, the terahash, the highest terahash possible. And I know like the guys mining blocks are in the petahashes, but I want to get the highest amount of efficiency so that I give myself the best chance to hit a block and take 3.125 Bitcoin off the table, take it away from the foundries, all of these big guys. And we have like 10 years to do it. After 2028, it gets cut in half. It'll be 1 point something Bitcoin and then cut in half again in 2032 to less than a Bitcoin, I think like zero point 0.7. Um, but there's going to be transaction fees in there, so it'll be a little more lucrative. But the window is closing. If you haven't done the home mining, like I've played around with the Bitaxe, it's cool. It kind of got me into it. But I think that this is what plebs around the world, what we should be focusing on. Buying like a future bit, 900 bucks or $1,000, paying 25 or $30 a month in power and learning about mining and hitting your freaking block.
Dude, hell yeah. I want to get one of those. I forget what the company is, but they've got it connected to a solar panel.
Yeah.
I gotta remember what company that is because I should get one.
I I don't know that one, but I was watching videos today about just a guy doing an off-grid cabin, and he had a creek on his property that was generating 500 watts of power to his cabin. And it was a very simple solution. He's generating AC current, and then that gets converted into DC so he can plug his stuff in his house to it. But yeah, like free energy, that would be even better. If I could, figure out a way. Solar is a little unreliable, but if you could figure out a way to get some free energy, more power to you. But I
Literally
think
more power to you.
more literal power to you. But yeah, man, this is forget about like the shit posting and the posting memes and stuff. I want to get into mining.
Yeah.
I think this is, running a Bidax is fun, but like this is the next step.
Yeah.
If you've got your coin, if you've got your self storage, self custody, if you've got it in cold storage, if you've, run the Bidax, I have a node. I've got two of them. You know, I've opened Lightning channels. Like, what have I not done? This is the piece that I need to do next.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about just being in Hawaii, how great that solar will perform here. Like it's sunny
Yeah.
every damn day, dude. Every day.
Can find a waterfall, co-op some
There's
hydroelectric power.
there is that in the backyard, but I don't know how I would even go about doing that because it's
All right,
not.
so I'm gonna send you a video. I saw one where it's like this spinning turbine that people put in the ocean, or you can put it in a lake or a creek, anywhere there's moving water. It'll spin the turbine and it'll plug into, an outlet essentially. And so, dude, you got ocean surrounding you.
Well, how do I get it to an outlet? It's how do I get to an outlet? Because
Lots of extension cords.
no, it won't work. It's too far.
I don't know, dude.
You
I
know?
don't know, but we got to figure this out.
Yeah, because there's always water flowing in this stream in the back. And if I could figure out how to do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Free power. I mean, even if you had to pay for the electricity, it's not like you're going to pay more than the block reward.
Right. Right.
And I feel like, yes, it's competitive. Odds are against you. I'm going to do it anyway.
Hmm. Well, we know where the price is going, which is a good segue to this, where there was a correlation between global liquidity and Bitcoin. We know that because easy money means more investments into things like Bitcoin. So the correlation here, uh, what kind of price predictions are we seeing? Is that what
Yeah,
you
I saw a credible one that's about 400,000 this year, maybe
there was
440.
the famous options trader that called Bitcoin being at this price, like on this day, and he called it like months ago, and he said that the top this cycle is 440,000.
Josh Mandel. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I think that's right. It takes a little bit of time for the Cantillon effect for the money to get into the hands of where it needs to go once the guys closest to the money printer get their grubby hands on it.
Mhm.
But it's going to find its way into Bitcoin. And because Bitcoin is being financialized, it'll probably happen faster than we think. It's going to hit the ETFs. It's going to hit all of these new products that are being developed and that are getting released. Some of it will hit, spot Bitcoin, I'm sure. But yeah, I think, I'll tell you, it's been a real kick in the dick to see Bitcoin around in the 80s, like even in the 70s. Like, I thought we were going to be dunking on people for the rest of my life, and I eating humble pie. I mean, yes, it's great to stack. Um, stacking at 80 and 100 is not that big of a deal if you're buying $100 at a time. It's like, you know, you could you could do one extra purchase and you've made up the amount of sats from buying at 100 than you would have at 80. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. It's like the mental and the emotional toll of having to look at the low price. That's the part that really has been kind of difficult for me to deal with. I want to be slamming people in the face and saying, "See, I told you so," and I haven't really been able to do that.
I mean, it's coming. And I mean, look at a logarithmic chart, like it just goes up only. So anyone that's trying to dunk on it when Bitcoin paired with any other asset they're talking about has like tanked. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like nothing is performing well right now.
Yeah,
Bitcoin is like the best.
still holding up.
Yeah, it's still holding up. So it's like, yeah, anyone
I
that's
mean,
is a complete fucking idiot. They just don't understand the first thing about it. And it's like, yeah, I mean,
yeah. Can you imagine going down in history as an enemy of Bitcoin? Like, give me a
no,
break. It's like the one thing that no matter who participates, they benefit.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like the easiest thing to get right.
Like if you're a leftist libtard with blue hair and you want the whole world to be perfect, but you don't like Bitcoin, you're completely retarded. Like if you are one of those bleeding heart liberal people, like this
Yeah.
is the one issue that you can get behind and still feel morally superior.
They've been so psyoped into pretty much everything that they can't even begin to comprehend, or at least a lot of them. But there are progressive Bitcoiners and whatever, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like three or four of them.
Yeah.
Those.
And we're coming up on time, man. Should we stack some sats?
Yeah, let's do it. How much are you gonna do?
21.
I'm gonna buy $100.
All right, dude.
Just I need to. I'm buying at 84, 88 cent fee. So
Okay.
I'm buying 101.99. So it'll cost me
I'm sticking with
100.
21. I'm doing 21-cent fee at 84.4. Boom.
Authenticating. I have a new ID check. All right, there it goes.
Go, baby. Now we enter the
117,000 sats.
million.
Goodness. That feels good, man. I love it when those sats just hit the account and roll up. I mean, six-figure sats on a Friday. Like fast forward 20 years, this is going to be the block reward is six-figure sats.
Unbelievable, man. It's
Maybe longer than 20, but still.
what a time to be alive, brother. We get to stack sats before nation states are stacking sats. We're right on the cusp of this, and it's like we've been doing it right. So we should pat ourselves on the back. This is good.
Yeah.
We're in a good place.
Yeah, I think if we've done this well, we can take care of the second and third generation. And
Right.
that's something a boomer just does not understand.
No, no, they don't. It's a completely different mentality. And
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway,
Anyway,
man, what's planned for the weekend? Anything fun?
just avoiding the tornadic activity. So
You got
hunker
a
down.
shelter? Like, what do you got to do?
I mean, we've got a basement, so we'll be in the basement. It looks like from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., just waves of storms coming through. So we'll see, you
Wild,
know.
man.
And yeah, well, what about you?
Oh, I don't really know. I try and get out in the water today, surf. Uh, that's about it. Probably just get out.
No big deal. Dude, you're living the life, man. I'm so jealous. That's good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
I'll
just got a
be
new
not in
board.
Hawaii, but I'll
Yeah, I
be
got a
out
new
there one
board
day.
last week, and I'm like, really, just getting a new board is a really fun thing. It just brings back more of this novelty of like trying to figure out, how the board performs, and yeah, it's been fun, man. So I'll probably get out in the water in the next, I don't know, 3 hours here.
Cool. All right.
All
Well,
right,
be
brother.
safe.
Have a good
Enjoy
weekend.
it.
Stay safe.
Yep.
God bless.
Peace.